Okay, so in today's video, I'm going to talk about 7 ugly sides of personal training and how we can turn it from ugly into a more acceptable, beautiful side of personal training so that you can become a successful personal trainer, whether that's you working face-to-face in your local community, working online, or a combination of both of those things. Now, before we dive in, you may be wondering, who the heck am I? My name's Eric Simpson, and I spent over 15 years working as an in-person personal trainer, starting off by visiting people's homes, working in commercial gyms, having my own studio and staff, and eventually moving online myself. So everything I'm sharing with you is based on what I've done myself. I don't say it's perfect, but these are the things that I have experienced and gone through with my own business. So the first thing we're going to talk about is, how do you go about attracting people into your business? Now, for a lot of people, this is something that's overlooked during their training. And it's overlooked not because the training providers don't want to talk about it, it's just that they've got a limited amount of time where they've got to teach you all the ins and outs and the physiology and the movement patterns and programming that you need to be able to do when you become a personal trainer. So it limits them in terms of time that they can spend on teaching you how to market. The second thing is, they've got a whole eclectic mix of people sat in front of them who have got different abilities, different experiences, different skills when it comes to marketing, so they couldn't possibly give you a definitive way of attracting clients into your business. So what I'm going to suggest you do when it comes to marketing your business as a personal trainer is to really lean into what I call your superpower, rather than trying to be pulled in lots of different directions. So what do I mean by superpower? Well, if you are a natural writer, then you should build your marketing around writing content, blogs, emails, which is not only marketing, but that's also a back end thing you can do as well. Writing social media posts. So if your strength is writing, build your marketing around that. If your strength is networking, going out and meeting people in the local community or indeed online, then build your marketing around that. And if you're a speaker, then build your marketing around speaking. So you could be doing things like live talks, webinars, videos. So whichever one of those strengths that you have, your marketing should be built around that, because it's going to make it so much easier for you to be consistent with your marketing. So rather than trying to do everything and trying to jump on every latest trend that's out there, find what your superpower is and build it around that, because trust me, marketing is one of the biggest challenges you're going to have in your personal training business. It's not how to get people results, it's how to actually get people to raise their hand and say, I've got an interest in your business. So that's number one. Go from random marketing to using your superpower. The second ugly side of personal training, I think, is programming. What do I mean by that? Well, let's take, for example, if you have, let's say on your roster, 3 clients, you've got one that wants to lose weight, you've got one that wants functional training, and you've got one that's training for, let's say, a marathon. That's 3 different types of programs that you have now got to create for 3 different types of people with 3 different types of outcomes they're looking to achieve. Now, whilst that might sound like it's good and exciting and a lot of variety, and you may be the sort of person that likes that sort of variety, I can tell you now that is going to be very time consuming if your client roster is made up of lots of different types of people. So one of the ways that you can minimize this and make it a lot easier for you and make it way more effective for your clients as well is by niching down to a particular type of problem that you want to solve for a particular type of person. Because when you do that, and in my case it was weight loss, so when you can narrow it down to weight loss, for me it was women over the age of 40 wanting to lose about 30 plus pounds, I knew that 80% of my programming was going to be identical for person A as it would be for person B. 80% at least. The other 20% is what you personalize. That makes life easier for me as a trainer trying to put programs together, because I'm only ever changing 20% or tweaking 20% or coaching 20% a little bit differently. And for the client, they're getting a solid program that has been tried and tested with lots of other people who have had the same issue that they have. So that's what you do in terms of programming. Instead of being this person creating lots and lots of programs, get very, very clear about what problem you solve and for who, and then you can just keep rolling those programs out and just tweaking the 20%. It's going to make your life so much easier, believe you me. Number 3 is selling. A lot of people are scared of selling. And one of the reasons that people are scared of selling is because how they think they're going to be perceived, like a dodgy car salesman. That's often the analogy that's used, but to be honest, if you're a good car salesman or good at selling anything, it really is a skill, it's a profession. But how do you overcome this idea of not wanting to be seen as a salesperson? Well, the way that I overcame it in my business and taught my staff how to do it was to flip it. Instead of seeing yourself as a salesperson, see yourself as more of a consultant. So a consultant would basically ask questions, and then once you've gathered enough information, you can then give the person sat in front of you or online, depending on how you're communicating, you can then present a solution that's tailored to their particular situation. So forget about becoming the salesperson, because that's the ugly side of it, and flip that and become the consultant. Okay, so number 4 is cancellations. People cancelling on you. And it is going to happen. People are going to cancel sessions. Here's the thing. If you've got a client roster, and let's say you've got, 10 clients on your roster, and they're all on blocks of 10, seeing you twice a week. And if it's just a case of, pay and let's just get going, and there's no terms and conditions in place, you may well end up with clients cancelling left, right and centre. And that's an issue, because if you've got people who have paid you for 10 sessions, let's say, which I wouldn't recommend, by the way, but let's just use that as an example, because that's what a lot of trainers are still doing, and you may be doing this as well. And by the way, if you want to know how to get out of that, click the link below in the description and we can have a conversation about how to maybe restructure your business a little bit more effectively. But if you've got clients who are on this block of 10 seeing you twice a week, and you have no terms and conditions in place, and people start cancelling, wanting to reschedule, you can go from potentially having a block of 10 that should have been executed over a 5-week period to that dragging out to 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 10 weeks. And I've known people go to 3 months and beyond. Why? Because they haven't had solid terms and conditions in place with their clients. Now, I'm going to give you an example, not an example, of what I did in my business and still do to this day with online clients, and it's this. When somebody signs up to do personal training with you, you make it clear to them that they're buying into blocks of a block of 10, seeing you on a Monday and a Wednesday, let's say at 10 o'clock, and they're paying for that specific block of time. If they can't make that block of time, then what you will do, or they can't make that session that week, what you will do is your best to move it in that given week. And you tell them that right from the get-go. But if you can't move it in that given week, then the session has gone. That protects your income, and it's important that you protect your income. Now, you may be thinking, well, Eric, that's a bit harsh, it's a bit unfair, people won't want to sign up for that. But I can tell you, after being doing this over 15 years, offline and online, rarely do people query it. So make your terms and conditions crystal clear from the get-go and protect your income. It's important you do this, otherwise you will have clients taking the mick, and they'll be extending sessions, moving sessions, and before you know it, you've lost a lot of income, you become demotivated. And I think this is one of the reasons why a lot of personal trainers actually get out of the business within the space of just a few months, because they haven't set their business up properly. And the things I'm talking about today are the things that can make your personal training business so much easier. Okay, so number 5 is this idea that you're going to be able to sell 10k a month in personal training. Now, whilst that is definitely possible, I know it's possible. Why? Because I've done it myself. So it's definitely possible. I know it's possible. And by the way, I didn't do it on my own. I did it with a small team of people to get to that 10-figure a month and beyond. So it wasn't just down to my efforts by myself. But that aside, if you're just starting out and you make, I think, the mistake of focusing on 10k a month, and you might think, well, hang on, Eric, shouldn't I focus on my income? Yes, you should. But I would do it this way around. I'll explain why in a moment. I would focus on creating a valuable program first of all, one that's going to solve a particular problem. That's number 1. So create the program. Learn how to market it using the things I spoke about earlier, your superpower. Learn how to sell it, being the consultant, and get people results. If you can do those 4 things effectively one time, then you've got a nice foundation upon which to build to get to 2, 3, 5, 6, 8, 10k, if that is, depending on what your goal is. But a lot of trainers I see out there, I've come into contact with, and I'm part of different groups, and people are talking about these high figures, but very few people are talking about the quality of what it is you're putting out there. So learn how to create something, how to market it, how to sell it, and how to get people great results. When you can do that, then you are in the game and you're on your way to earning higher income. Okay, the next one, number 6, is working long hours. Now look, the reality is when you first start out, the chances are you may well have to work long hours, 6, kind of like split shifts through till 9 p.m. at night. The way that I got out of doing that, and relatively quickly, was by switching from offering pay-as-you-go and blocks of 10, which I did for a very, very, very short space of time. I moved into creating a program, learning how to market it, learning how to sell it, getting great results, so I could move into a slightly higher ticket offering for my clients, which meant I had to see less people throughout the course of the day to earn the same money I was earning when I was just charging pay-as-you-go or blocks of 10. Because when you create a program that's valuable, that promises a particular outcome that's significant, and I mean 30, 40, 50 pounds plus, that's significant, people are happy to pay a little bit more money for that, or indeed a lot more money for that. So it means you can work less but get paid a little bit more, or a lot more. And the 7th thing that I think is the ugly side of personal training, and how you can turn it into something more acceptable and more beautiful, is the fear of rejection. And this typically happens when you are happy to sit down with just anybody that has a pulse and shows some interest in your personal training services, be that them sitting down and speaking with you at your local gymnasium, or be that them jumping on a phone call or a Zoom call. And you can spend quite easily an hour plus chatting to somebody, answering all the questions, presenting a solution, making a really attractive offer, only for them to turn around and say, "Can I go away and think about it, please?" And then they go away to think about it, and you never hear about them ever again. And that can be quite demoralizing. It only takes a few of those a week over the span of a few weeks, a few months, where people just say, "I want to think about it," and never get back to you. And again, you can become demoralized. And again, I think this is one of the reasons why people give up on personal training. So the way that you get around this is to pre-qualify people before they sit in front of you. How do you do that? You have a very simple 5 or 10 minute conversation, either face to face or over the phone, where you've got set questions that you're going to ask people to make sure they're the right fit for your program, to make sure you understand what their challenge is, what they're looking for, and also to talk about some of the elements of your program and what the investment levels might be for them if they decided to work with you. And if all that lines up nicely, that's when you invite people into a proper consultation where they sit down for an extended period of time, and then you present the offer at the end. And why is that more effective, and why is that going to eliminate the risk of being rejected? It eliminates it because you've got somebody sat in front of you now who you can help. They like the sound of your program because you've given them like a 10,000 foot view, and you've also spoken to them about the potential investment levels, and they've said, "Yeah, I can invest at that level." So you're now sitting down with somebody who has ticked a lot of boxes. So your conversion rate, whilst it may not be 100%, it should certainly be well above 70. We used to sort of average at around about 80+% for our conversions when we went through this method. And it's one that I still use to this day for online clients as well. So hopefully that's been of value to you. And again, if you want to go into more detail about your own business, then find the link in the description where we can have a conversation about your business by booking in for a free chat, and we can talk about how you can better attract clients, how you can better convert those clients, and how you can get them better results if you're not ticking those boxes at this moment in time.